Hello everyone, welcome to mentorbuddy.com. This is your mentor Gurvansh, and now we are going to look at the conditional control statements in Python. So guys, for the conditional control statements in Python, we start with the if statement, then we go to if else statement, then we have the if else if statements. Now guys, there are certain problem statement in which we have to change the flow of the program depending upon a certain condition or a certain criteria. Now what is the general flow of the program? The general flow of the program is line by line the interpreter reads the line and run the statement, right? But there are certain cases where we have to change the flow of the program using the conditional control statements. So the Python provides us with if statement when we have only one condition to follow. We have if else statement. The if and the opposite of if is else, means yes or no based condition. Then there is the if else if elif statements where we have multiple continuous conditions. We use the if statement, if else if statement, and if else if else if else if means one condition, two condition, more than two condition. Other than this guys, we follow the concept of nested if or nested if else depending upon the problem statement. So nested if means consecutive conditioning, means a condition is depending on another condition. Let's take an example. Let's say you have to give the title for the person like Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. Now if the person is if the person is male, the title will always be Mr. But if a person is female, the title can be Miss also, Mrs. also, depending on whether she is uh, married or not, right? So if a person is female, that is a condition one. Then what will be the second condition? Whether she is married or not. So I will show that example also over here. Other than this, we have nested if or nested if else depending upon the scenario which we are doing. Okay, moving on, let me show you the example for if statement, if else, and if else if statements. So for the if statement, you can simply write let's take a value x is equal to 23 and write if x is greater than 23, if x is greater than 20, print hello. Now guys, see, the Python programming language follows the concept of indentation. What is indentation? Indentation is the extra space after a function has started, the extra space showing that the statement we have written after the space is inside the condition, inside the function which you are trying to use. Now this is known as indentation. So how you write a function in any kind of function, in any kind of functional statement in Python, you write the statement name if, you write the condition, and then put the colon sign. Now keep this in mind, parentheses are optional, but the colon sign should be there. Without colon sign, a function is not defined, a start of the function is not defined, and using the indentation we show that these statements are inside this particular statement. So here we are showing that the print statement is inside the if statement. So when I run it, you will get the output. So, and if I sometimes, let's say I change the condition, let's say if x is less than 20, print. Now x is not less than 20, so it will not print anything. Now let's say you want to print an opposite of it, means whether x is greater than this or not, you get two answers, if yes or no based answer, right? In that case we use if else. So let's say this time I'm taking input from the user, so I'm going to write int input enter an integer number, simple. Now here we can write if my q mod 2 equal 0. The state condition I have written is for the even numbers. What are the even numbers? The numbers which are completely divisible by 2 are known as even numbers. So here I am going to write even number. What will be the else of it? The else of it will be the opposite. What is the opposite of even number? Opposite of even number is odd number which are not divisible by 2. So here this is an yes or no based condition. Yes is if q mod 2 equal 0, meaning the number q is completely divisible by 2. If it is completely divisible by 2, we give the output as even number, otherwise odd number. Simple, very easy statement. So if I give 23, hit enter, it will give me odd number. If I run it again and give 34, hit enter, it will give me an even number. So if else is used for double conditions. Okay, now let's see where do we use else if. So else if is used in the scenario where we have more than more than two continuous conditions. So here I can write p is equal to int input, enter your round of percentage, your round of percentage. Let's say you have to create a simple code which will provide the grading system for the percentage, right? So you can write if your p is less than equal to, or if your p is less than 40, if your percentage is less than 40, what is the output? Output is that you fail, right? Now we can write else if. Else if is condition. After this you are writing another condition. Else if your percentage is greater than or equal to 40, your percentage is greater than equal to 40, and your percentage is less than equal to, sorry, less than 60, right? So here I am creating a range that your percentage is greater than or equal to 40 and less than 60, meaning a range between from 40 to 59. Okay, and in Python the logical operators are written as they are written in English language. So and will be written and, or will be written or. There are no symbol used in this particular Python language. Okay, then we have print pass. Then again we can write else if p is greater than equal to 60 and p is less than 80, we can write print first class. So I am just trying to give small answer because I'm just giving a simple example. After that, other than this, we can simply write else. Else is the always opposite. So till now we have mentioned the percentages. So less than 40 can start from 0 till 40, then we have 40 to 60, then we have 60 to 80. After this, what is remaining? 80 to 100. So for this we can simply write this distinction. When I run this now, enter your round of percentage, I'll write 56, it will give me pass. When I write again, I write 89, it will give me distinction, right? So this is how you use if else if statements. So first start with if, continue with else if, and write else. Now let's take an example of nested if. Again I will be using the same thing, so same example which I just gave. So here I will write gender, and then I will write status. So I'm taking two inputs. Okay, so here I'll write input, enter your gender, then I will write input, enter your marital status, right? So here if I write if gender equal to male, print Mr. Before this we are just going to do a simple pre-processing. So I am going to write gender is equal to gender dot lower, whatever input case they give, it will always be converted into lower. Then I'm going to write status is equal to status dot lower Mr. Okay, so what is the opposite of gender? Opposite of male, female. For female we are going to again check whether they are single or not, right? So here I'll write if status is equal to married, married, print misses. We can write else print miss. So I am just taking the easiest example so that you can comprehend it easily, that this is how the nested if else work. If is normal with a male, then in else we are again checking another condition. So until the else runs, until the opposite of male is given or female is given, this will not work. So this is known as the nested conditioning. So here if I write gender is male, answer is okay, it will ask for marital status, let's say single, answer is Mr. If I go up and give enter your gender, I will write female, enter your marital status, let's say married, it will give me Mrs. If I write status is female and marital status is single, I will get Miss. Clear? So this is how we use nested conditioning in Python programming language. So guys, with this the condition control statements theory part is done and few examples I have shown you. Let's continue and get to know how do we apply iterative statements in Python. So iterative statement is the technical term. Iterative statements in Python or loops in Python. Loops in Python. So what are the iterative statements? Now is there are certain tasks which you have to repeat again and again for a certain period of time. In those cases we use the iterative statements or loops. Now for the iterative statements, you can take as an example, let's say you have to take 10 rounds of your field, of your ground, right? So what you will do, you will start from 0. Once a round is completed, you will count 1, then second round 2, third round 3. So what you are doing, you are keeping a count of how many times you have taken that particular round. Now this variable which you have kept in your mind, which is counting how many times you have taken, is known as the control variable. Why? Because of that particular count you are able to run. So after one round you will count 1, after second round you will count 2, after third round you will count 3. So this variable is showing that okay, out of 10 3 are done, 7 are left, out of 10 5 are done, 5 are left, right? So this particular variable is known as control variable, which is controlling the flow of the loop. Now the Python programming language provides us with two loops, for loop and while loop. With this for loop and while loop, we also have two loop controlling statements which are known as the break statement and the continue statement. Okay, break statement and the continue statement. Break and continue. Okay. So break statement is used to get out of the loop and continue statement is used to skip a iteration, skip a process. Okay. Now let me give you an example for the for loop. So when we use the for loop in Python, it is a bit different than usual. So we write for. Here, whenever we use the for loop in Python programming language, you have to provide a range if you are going numerically, right? And there is one special thing about the for loop of Python programming language, that the for loop of Python programming language can directly iterate through the elements of a list or any data structure. The loop of Python programming language can directly iterate through the elements itself. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's say okay, let me create a list and then I will show you. So I will write lst2 is equal to a list over here. Let's say 23, 65, 47, 89, 34, 12, 10, 98. Okay, so this is the list I have created. So let's say you want to print the element of the list, right? So you can write for element in my ls2 print ele. So if you run this now, you will get the elements like this: 23, 65, 47, 89, 34, 12, 10, 98. Now this is what I was trying to say, that the for loop of Python programming language can directly iterate through the elements of the list or any data structure. You do not need to give the index number, right? So this is the example of going through the elements itself. Let's say you want to go through the different means elements itself, but using the range, using the index number, how you are going to do it. Now to give the index numbers, to give the value for the loop to iterate through, okay, so to give a numeric value to the for loop to iterate through through, we use the range function. Okay, we use the range function. Now it takes 3 inputs. Third input is optional. Okay, so it goes like this: starting value, end value, and step value. So starting value is from which number you are starting, end value is till which number you are going, step value is how you are going, either you are going +1, +2, +3. Step value is optional. If you do not give anything, the default value is +1. If you, let's say you give 2, step value 2, so you will get the change in the value by 2. Okay, as usual in range, since it is a range function, the end value will not be included. So if you write for I in range 0 to 10, I am not giving step value this time, okay, and I will write print I, so you will get 1, 0 to 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See, 10 is not included. Now let me give the same example, but this time I will change the step value. I will put a step value. Now by default it is 1. This time let's say I am giving 2, so I will get 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, right? And let's say if I give 3 this time, step value equal to 3, I will get 0, 3, 6, 9. So let's say we have this particular list, and in this list you want to go through the odd elements only. You just want to print the odd numbered elements, right? You want to print first element, third element, first element, third element, fifth element, seventh element. How you are going to do this? So you are going to do like this: for I in range 0 to length of LST2. Start from 0, go up to the length of LST2 and go with the step value of 2, right? And then we can just print LST2 and using I as the index number. So when I print it now, okay, I forgot I in range, yeah, I in range. So here see, we had 23 is printed, 47 is printed, 34 is printed, 10 is printed. 23, 47, 34 and 10 are printed, right? So this is how you do it. Now let's say you want to go with the even numbers, means second value, fourth value, you can use 1 over here and will go the same way. So this is how you use for loop in Python, using either directly iterating through the elements of the list directly, or using the index number or numeric values to iterate. When you use the numeric value, you give the range function, or you can directly iterate through the elements itself. Other than this, we have the while loop. So while loop essentially works with a condition. So to operate a while loop, we have to define a condition. Okay, to operate a while loop, we have to define a condition till the condition is true, while loop will run. Now keep this in mind, in the for loop, using the range function, the I is going through the upgrade. Sorry for that. So I was saying, as in the for loop, the I is updating itself automatically using the step value. Here the upgradation is done separately inside the while loop. So here let's try and see what happens when you write the same example which I have over here, same example which we have using the while loop. Okay, so first of all we are going to do it like this. So we will write I is equal to 0. We have to give a starting point. Here the starting point is given in the range function, right? Starting point, ending point, and the step value. Here we do it separately in the while. So we write starting value I is equal to 0. We write while I is less than, or while I is less than length of my lst2. Run the while loop till my I is less than lst2. Then we can write print lst2 with I as the index number, and then we will give the upgradation of I. So I'm going to write I is equal to I plus 1, right? So when I run it now, it will give me the all the elements. So here let's say you want to change the step value. So here you can write I is equal to I plus 2. You will get 23, 47, 34, 10. Let's say you want to do the opposite. You will write 1 over here and run it again. You will get 65, 89, 12, 98. So this is how a while loop runs. Means you have to first give the step value, whatever step value you have. You give the condition, whatever condition you have, and you give the print. Let me show you the use of continue statement. Okay, so let's say you are running a for loop again, or let's work with while itself. So I will write x is equal to 10 while x is less than or equal to 200, print x, and when you upgrade, okay, we can write x is equal to x plus 10, right? And then I'm going to give a continue statement before itself. If my x mod, let's see, 3, if my x mod 3 equal 0, we will just continue. Continue means I'm going to skip this step. So let's see the output now. Okay, so here we will get 10 and 20. Okay, why 10 and 20 we are getting? Because of this particular continue statement. 30, for 30 it won't get the output. We won't get the output for 30. The reason over here is that 30 is divisible by 3. Okay, okay, let's see why are the answers not, we are not getting the answers. Okay, I think my kernel has overloaded. We have to restart and clear all the output. No problem, no problem. Once it is done, I will show you again. Sometimes this is the problem, guys, with the Jupyter notebook. This is the problem, that sometimes the kernel is overloaded. When you run the cell again and again too many times, the kernel is overloaded, and because of it, sometimes it causes some problems. Okay, so let me show you again. Let me just quickly change this statement and put it over here, the upgradation statement. I think because of the indentation it was causing the problems. Okay, let's run it again. One second, let me remove the semicolon. So here if I run it again, see, you will get 20. 30 is divisible by 3, right? So it will continue not printed, right? Then you will get 40, then 60 is not printed, 70, 80, 90 is not printed, 100, 110, 120 is not printed, right? So this is how continue works. And let's check the break statement. What will be the break to? Break statement will completely break off the loop and will take you outside of the loop. So the answers which we are going to get over here is 20 itself. Why? Because as soon as we get 30, 30 is divisible by 3, and as soon as it is divisible, you will get 0 as the output, and when you get 0 your break statement will run, and when the break statement run, the interpreter will come out of the loop. So this is how the break statement works. So till now guys, we have studied basics of Python, how to take input using Python programming language, how to print, how to perform mathematical problems, basic mathematics in Python. We looked about list data structures, we talked about tuple, we talked about string, we talked about if else, we talked about for loop. Let me just quickly give you the example of how to take input in the list. So taking input in the list, we can do it three ways, taking input in the list. So till now, whatever list I have shown you, I was giving the input, the programmer was giving the input. Let me show you how to take input. First thing is, you can take the input from in the list using the input and the split function, but the values will be stored as the string type. So I'll write input, then I will write dot split, right? Now okay, let me go with the first most basic. The most basic is using the for loop. So I'll write x is equal to input, int input, int input, enter the number of elements you want to input, number of elements you want to input. Then I'm going to write for I in range 0 to x. Here let me first create an empty list. So ls is equal to an empty list. Then I'm going to write ls dot append the value which I am taking. So let's say I am taking the input in y. So I'm going to write y is equal to int input, right? And then we are going to run it. So how many elements I'm giving? 5. I'll write 12, enter 13, enter 14, enter 15, enter 16. Here my list is ls will be created. So if I print my ls now, print ls, you will get 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is how you take the input in the list using the for loop. Now guys, let's say you have to take input in the list. Okay, taking input in the list where the input is separated by space, where input is separated by space. So here we can write like this, lst is equal to input, then split, then we can write print lst. Now split y, what? Splits are done with the help of the space. So here if I run it, I'll give 12, 14, 16, 18, hit enter, your list is taken. Now there is a problem over here. The problem is that the inputs are taken as string itself, and the bigger problem is that you cannot apply the int function as we did earlier, right? In the starting you cannot apply the int over here. Why? Because int function is applied on a single value. Here you are getting multiple values at a time, so that causes a problem. Now how to use it? You can again use a loop to convert them back into a input number, integer number, and use it. Now here is something we actually use to take input in a list separated by space using the map function. Now the problem which I told earlier, right? The problem is that int function can only be applied on only single value. Here we are getting multiple values, right? This problem is solved using the map function, which helps us to apply the int function on the input list individually. So till now we were getting, let's say we are again taking in LST itself. Now till now we were getting input function we were taking, dot split function we were getting a list which was saved as a string. So what we do, we use the map function now. So what we have to map, so we write map what, map my int on the input dot split, whatever you are getting, you map your integer function on those values. And when you have mapped this, you will have to convert it into a list. So one extra step, list. Why this list function is needed? The need of this list function is that whenever you use map function, okay, it creates a map object. It does not create a list. Okay, when we use the map function, it creates a mapped object. So we need the list function to store it as a list. You can also use tuple also here. You can use tuple here and the value will be stored as tuple itself. So list is not compulsory. It is not that only list will be there. You can use tuple also. So the input which you are taking will be stored as a tuple this time. So now I will print it LST. Let's see what happens. So like 13, 16, 57, 98, 45. See, now they are stored as a list of integer numbers. Let's run it again. Okay, let me just change it to tuple first, tuple tuple. Let's run it and let's see what is the output we are getting. Hit enter. Now they are stored as a tuple. So this is how you take input from the user, multiple input from the user, whether using a for loop or the input split it by space. So this was all for this video. Bye bye guys, take care and thank you for joining us on Mentor Buddy.